Excellent. Well, welcome everybody. Thrilled to have you here. I'm Maggie Kelly. I'm the director of the UCANR statewide program in informatics and GIS. I know some of you already. And we're joined here with Sean Hogan. He's going to be leading the workshop. I'm going to give you some intro to sort of set the stage, and that's what we'll do first. So we'll take it away. So today we've got another fun afternoon focusing on interesting technology. We're going to start with a few introductions. Then we're going to talk about the landscape of WebGIS, web apps, and how story maps fit into that. Then we're going to talk about how to build these using the ESRI software, and some basic, the basic steps of what you're going to do. And then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to launch into the meat of the afternoon, which is really the workshop. And Sean's going to guide you through how to create in a range of different ways, how to create these really content-rich, map-heavy, gorgeous communication tools. So thrilled that you're here. Just to set the scene, a lot of you have seen this slide before if you've been to these workshops, but we're part of the University of California Agricultural and Natural Resources. UCANR is a network of people, academics, and staff throughout the state. We have people in all counties of California. We have people on UC campuses. We run a lot of statewide programs, CalFresh, UC IPM, 4-H, California Naturalists. These are all some that you might have heard of. And our statewide program is called Informatics and GIS. And we're all of us, who I'm going to introduce in a moment, have as our passion helping you integrate these tools into your work, because we think mapping tools and data tools are really critical to helping you do your work and tell your story. So we're thrilled to be here with you. This is who we are. So I'm Maggie Kelly. I'm the director of IGIS program. Sean Hogan is going to be leading the workshop portion, but we've also got some excellent help here behind the scenes. In case you're having any trouble, Robert Johnson, Andy Lyons, Shane Fire, Ben Satzman, they're all here. If you have any trouble or you have a question, just pop it in the chat. We'll all be manning that as Sean goes through the workshop. And who you are, you guys are a great group. You're mostly from California. We have one Oregon. I'm sorry, left off the map there. You are from a range of different groups. I see several of you affiliated with Grizzly Corps, which is awesome because I just learned about Grizzly Corps, and I'm going to be talking to you guys, I think, next week, but we're thrilled to have you join. Several of you are also coming through the GIF at Berkeley. Welcome to you. And we have folks from all over California doing a range of different stuff. So thrilled to have you. In the chat, if you might, put your name, what you have to get out of this workshop, very brief, and your experience with story maps from beginner to expert. So if you want to start taking away that, we'll just get that feed going. It's always nice to see, virtually, we're all missing each other, but it's nice to see what you guys are up to. So name, what you hope to get out of it. Experience with story maps from 1 to 5 would be much appreciated. So far, Lauren and Paige have braved. Yep, great. Great, love it, Lauren. Terrific. And even if you guys have no experience, it's totally fine. We're gonna get you up and running this afternoon. So anybody else brave enough? Yay, Chris, welcome. Eve, wonderful, beginner. Welcome, Julio. Nice to see you all. Glad, I love the enthusiasm here. Great. Yeah, Carlos, I agree. These are terrific ways of creating really rich narratives around your research and work. Joyce, excellent. Lovely to have you. Welcome, Rainey. Absolutely. Show my results in research. I love it. Great. So it sounds like most of you are beginners, and that's totally common because story maps has sort of been a stealth tool for a while. It's just kind of exploding. So I'm not surprised a lot of you are listing one as your level. Shane, Shane's a 5, but on some days he's a 1. I hear you. We are all feeling that some days. Great, Alex. Okay, keep them coming. I'm going to switch back to the slides. Lovely to have you all here. In addition to that little map that I made in ArcGIS Online, I can show you where I made it. Super simple. We'll talk a little bit about ArcGIS Online on the talk. Sean, because he's the overachiever that he is, made a story map of all of your locations. And we're going to show this to you live at the break, but it's a great, this is a lovely example of there you all are. There's the push pins of where you're from. And every one of those locations has some kind of photo with it or text with it. And all of this is bound up in a lovely web app. So we'll show you this at the break, but thank you, Sean, for doing that. Okay, so why would you want to make a story map? So these are content-rich displays showing both mapping and contextual information with pictures. They're journalistic in style. There's multiple templates you can build off of. You can call on multiple databases and data sources. You can do all this without coding. And while the story map is easy to build, it can be challenging to design because there's so much you can do with this. And that's why you guys are here. Another terrific example of a story map is from UCANR. We helped UCANR develop their virtual tour. I'll also put that in the chat at the break, and you can check that out. They're great for a lot of things. Things that they might not do as well or do not do as well is they're not really a great vehicle for collecting data. In some cases, they also don't look great on mobile devices, although you can pay attention to this in your design. And while this is changing, there are limited style options for how they look and feel, as opposed to a fully customized website. But the take home is you don't have to be a web developer to create a story map. Again, they incorporate multiple content types. So these aren't just maps. They have maps embedded. They also can have web apps embedded, but they can include photos and videos and text stylings and quotes and hyperlinks. These are the full package that allow you to tell your story in a really content-rich way. And we like to, in these workshops, think about the data, design, and develop process. That's what we're going to walk you through here. And so web maps, just a couple of some background. We're going to be talking about a lot of these terms. Web maps are basic online maps with custom symbology. They have limited layout options, labels, and other aspects to them. That little snippet that I showed you where all of you were from was just a simple web map that I developed from the registration form that you guys filled out. Another thing we're going to encounter are web apps. So in contrast to web maps, web apps are richer. They have more customization. They have more capabilities associated with them. They're very graphically appealing. There's a lot of different variety of layouts and options. They often resemble a standalone web page, but they can do more for you than a simple web map does. And how much more they can do is designed by you. You're the creator, and that's what we're going to work on. One particular type of web app in the Esri universe are these story maps. They're another web app, and they have a very purpose-driven look and feel. They're very journalistic in style. They're very content-rich. I have a couple of examples here from ANR, the virtual tour, as I mentioned before, and a lovely one from Sonoma County looking at wildfire fuel management. These, as you know, these are very, very content rich and really immersive storytelling. And everything I just showed you was built using Esri software. So story maps are this Esri app that runs in concert with ArcGIS Online in their sort of software app ecosystem. And if you're brand new to Esri stuff, don't worry. It's just Esri's way of doing GIS in the cloud is called ArcGIS Online. And all these different apps, including story maps, play in this playground, this cloud-based playground. And by pulling in all kinds of content, video, audio, photos, other websites, you pull those in and you customize them using the Story Maps app on ArcGIS Online to build your final presentation. Again, we're going to talk about the data, design, and develop. And this is why the Esri really, I think, in this regard at least, has done a fantastic job. They make this data design develop workflow really easy. They provide a lot of data repositories for you. You can bring in your own, but you can also pull data from some of their resources, like their curated living atlas. There's external content you can link to. There's your own data. You can link this with data collection apps like field maps. There's another workshop on that later. All of these are designed in ArcGIS Online as web maps, and then they're developed using these Esri apps. Lots of web apps related to Esri app. We're going to focus on story maps, but it's think about this as a one piece in this much larger kind of ecosystem of software. Another way to think about this is how the Esri ecosystem works in the cloud as well as on your desktop. You've seen this slide before, many of you. The desktop software that's used for GIS analysis is called ArcGIS Pro. You install it on your desktop. You can run lots of analyses. You could also work up in the cloud in ArcGIS Online. You can go back and forth between the two, and there are advantages to each of these, and there are also advantages to going back and forth between them. But if we look at ArcGIS Online first, the strengths are you can create these web maps and web apps. You can link to loads of apps like story maps. You can do some simple analysis. It's very fast. It's very intuitive. It's browser-based, so you don't have to install the software on your desktop. The strengths of Pro on the other side are really tight control on cartography and design, tight control on projections, much more advanced analysis like remote sensing, image processing, spatial modeling, working with UAV data or LiDAR, and more coding options with ArcGIS Pro. Both of these, ArcGIS Pro and ArcGIS Online, you can access loads of data. So if you go through the series of workshops with us, you are going to go back and forth between these two. Today, we're staying up in the top of that picture there. We're staying up in ArcGIS Online and playing with a bunch of these, or not a bunch of them, playing with story maps. But I just put this in. These are all the other little widgets, the little software building blocks that Esri is promoting. Field maps is a great one if you're interested in collecting data out in the field. Dashboards is another web app to make amazing stuff like all those COVID dashboards that we saw early on. Tons of cool stuff. Today, we're going to be focused on story maps. Okay, a little bit more background. For those of you who have done GIS in the past, have worked on GIS, you'll know that there are a range of GIS formats. There's things like shapefiles or geodatabases or TIFFs. These are all local formats. I'm sorry, I'm reading from the wrong slide. So there's, when we're in ArcGIS in the cloud, there's lots of things we need to focus on. We need to focus on data. What are the data formats in the cloud? Sharing, who can see our data and our work? These building blocks, what are the core things we need to pull together? What are the apps we need to pull together? And then visualization. How do we want this product to look? And let's look at the data first. And that's where I was going previously. Desktop GIS, old-fashioned GIS, if you will. We were talking about local file formats, shapefiles, geodatabases, TIFFs. When we push everything up into the cloud, we talk about layers and services. Layers are the data. Services are how they can be used. And for the layers in the Esri world, we have feature layers. These are vector data like points, lines, and polygons. We can have image layers or elevation layers. These are raster data layers. We can have scene layers. These are optimized for showing 3D. And then there are tile layers, which are basically backdrops that you can show, you can put behind your data. Services are the instructions for how the data can be used. You won't mess with services. We're going to give you stuff, you're going to find it, but it just goes to show that in the cloud, things can be more constrained in terms of use. So there can be some constraints on how you use the data. And that's all defined by these services, these instructions on how the data can be used. The other thing we should talk about is sharing. And once data is in the cloud and it's not just on your local desktop, we have to think about who can see it, who can use it. And so Esri makes this really easy in ArcGIS Online. All your data, all your web maps, all your web apps can be shared in different ways. And if you want this to go out to the world, you need to make sure that your data and your web map and web app are made shared to everyone. So you can restrict it so only you have access. You can restrict it so only groups that you are associated with have access. You can restrict it so that your organization has access, or you can open everything up to the public. There's a couple ways to build story maps, and Sean's going to go through this, and a lot of these are template driven. So you can pick a pleasing design that you like and fill in the data. There's also ways that you can start from scratch. Sean will go through this a little bit next. But the base of all of this is going to be ArcGIS Online. You're going to create and manage your web maps. You're going to find loads of data. You're going to create these non-story map applications. The first way is to build story maps in ArcGIS Online. The second way is to build story maps with the Story Map app. But through all of this, you're thinking about, where am I going to get the data? What kind of design work do I need to do before? And then how am I going to develop it? And story maps are probably the most particular, or another way to put it is they're the most fussy of these, because you're pulling in so much rich content. So you really do need to pay attention to this design portion. Sean's going to walk you through all this. Where's my text going to go? What's it going to look like? What are some hierarchies that I need to pay attention to? But the gist of the workflow is, in ArcGIS Online, you're going to have data, you're going to create a web map, you're going to create a web app, and those are going to go into your story map. But as I said before, you can include text, you can include the script, and you can include any other content like video and audios and those kinds of things. Okay, so this is the break. Well, I'm stopping my talk here. I'm going to stop and show you. I'll put this in the chat. Any questions while I'm there? Here. Let me find the chat. There we go.
Any questions yet?
Great. I just lost my chat, which happens. So just FYI, there's the link to Sean's story map that he built for us. It's pretty cool stuff. If you guys want to check it out. Sean, what would you like to do while I put a couple other links in there?
What I was thinking is I'm going to give a introduction to how to set up the windows, because honestly, that is going to be the hardest part of this entire workshop. The creation of a story map isn't so difficult. The curation and organization of what goes into your story map can be quite time consuming. But when it comes to teaching something like this, it's being able to figure out how to fit 4 windows on your screen all at once.
Yeah.
And be able to listen to what I'm talking about and copy and paste and refer to one document and then switch over to another one. And it gets tricky. So that's what I'm going to start off with right there.
Great. All right. So I'll turn it over to you. I've stopped slide share, so take it away.
I'm going to share my screen. Very good. Okay, so first off, all of you should have received an email at about 11:30 that looks something like this. And in one of the first things you'll see is a tiny URL, and that is to go to the workshop folder, the Google Drive folder that has everything we need for this workshop in it. If you haven't downloaded everything from that site yet, and I will go there right now, it should look something like this. If you need to download all of this and put it in a folder named something to the effect of ArcGIS Story Map Workshop, you can make it shorter, but as long as you just know where that's at and place it on your computer. I put it in my C drive for now, but you'll want to put all of that data there. One thing that, just to head off an issue that has popped up before, this is not a very large download, but when you do download it, it'll zip up, and when it goes into your folder, you'll need to unzip it. And I'll just start the download right now while I'm talking. So you can see it zipping up down in the bottom. When it goes into my downloads, I will go to my downloads right now. There it goes, it's coming in. It'll come in as a zip file just like that. What you'll need to do before continuing with the workshop is you want to right click it and extract it where you're at. Hopefully you have an extraction software or application on your computer. My preference is 7-zip. If you don't have 7-zip, it's a really easy, light download, safe and secure. You just go to 7-zip, download, and you should be able to find it fairly easy. And what I would do is extract it here, and then you'll have a folder called Workshop Media. You want to download everything that's in that folder. What we'll see here are the recs in a CSV file. And a rec is the Research and Extension Centers of UCANR. UCANR is I would say complex organization. We're an interesting facet of the UC system in that we have cooperative extension advisors throughout the state. We have specialists that are on campuses, oftentimes dual appointments as professors, such as Dr. Meg Kelly here. But we also have research and extension centers, and specifically 9 of them around the state, as well as partnered research facilities that we work in alignment with as well. And then we also have statewide programs such as IGIS and other programs that I'm sure you've heard of, like 4-H and Master Gardeners and California Naturalists and so forth. We're one of the numerous statewide programs that the UC supports. Also within this folder, what you'll see is a UCANR story map visualization and organization document. This is really important that you download this. We're going to be using this a lot today. In fact, this is going to be almost the backbone of what we'll be working on today, other than the story map exercise. And then for reference, you also have the presentation here that Maggie just gave. Once you've downloaded all of this, I recommend that you put it in to your C drive or into a folder, a story mapped workshop folder. Oh, that's a different location, where you can refer to this throughout the workshop. One thing that we'll do right now is I'm going to open up the UCANR Rec Center CSV file. Hopefully you'll have Excel or Google Sheets on your computer. You can refer to this. You can see that this has research center names, addresses, and then a non-broken apart address column as well. The importance of this is going to be our map points for the story map that we'll be putting together today. Just wanted to show you what it looks like so you know what you have there. And this is attendance. There we go. The actual exercise, now this is what I mentioned before, getting your windows all set up on your screen is going to be more than half the battle. So what I recommend is on the, at least for me, it's going to be actually slightly easier maybe for me than it is for you, because I only have to have three windows up on my computer, wherein you'll have four. You'll have your exercise, which I've found works well for me, is to put the exercise along the left side of the screen, kind of squeezed off to the side, just so I can go tap on it to bring it back up if it's partially covered by another window. In the center, what I'm going to have is my working area. This is going to be my ArcGIS Online and my Story Map Builder app. It's going to be right in the center of my screen. Where you choose to put the zoom screen, that will be up to you. You might have to move it around to be able to get to see the portions of the screen that you want to get at. And then finally, what I'll have on my right side of the screen is this visualization and organization document that I said was somewhat like a backbone for the exercise. This document, and I'm going to expand it right now, and we'll, make it larger so we can refer to it more easily. This is going to be how your data is going, or your data, I'd say a better way to put it is your content is going to be organized. One of the biggest challenges, or rather the most time-consuming elements of putting together a story map, is the curation and organization of what you want to go into that story map. And if you try to do that kind of on the fly in the story map, it's going to be generally much less efficient than if you prep all of your material beforehand in an environment like Google Docs or Microsoft Word or something like that, where you have like spell check and you can copy and paste, you can undo or redo or you name it. It's a lot of those functions are not either easy or not even possible in the story map builder. For example, you can't, once you do something in story map builder, and then that's just the way it is. You don't have an undo option. So one of the things you want to do right off the bat is you just start visualizing what is the main message of what your story map's going to be. Story maps are somewhat interested in it. It's interesting to call a story map a map, and I know it is because the map is a backbone for it. But there's a lot of other elements that go into a story map, and that includes visual aids. In fact, some story maps barely have any maps in them. That's all pictures and text and videos and redirects, like hyperlinks that send you to other locations. It's almost like a website development utility or a site builder type of application, except for it's optimized for using spatial data. That's kind of one way to look at story maps. And so when you're doing this, you're going to have to tie visual elements and text, almost journalistic type text elements, to a map or some kind of spatial data. And that takes a lot of creativity in a lot of cases. And even though the story maps are templated, so it kind of guides you along, but you still, there's a lot left up to you to be able to come up with appropriate pictures, text, and so forth. You'll get the idea as we go through. And then data, in the case of, say, the rec data with the addresses that we showed earlier. And I already mentioned visual aids. Well, one way to get prepared for this is to create an outline in, say, a 2-column spreadsheet, such as this, where you can have the title, and then the subtitle, and then heading and the text. So everything is nicely organized as you go into building your story map. And then all it will entail is cutting and pasting or copying and pasting over into the story map as you build it. One of the reasons we needed to do this is because you'll see that it can be quite time consuming even to just copy and paste. But if you actually had to type out all of this stuff in a story map workshop, it might take a day and a half instead of 3 hours. So that's why this is all included here. What we'll be doing in the exercise, just kind of give you a little bit of a timeline of how this will go about. Start with covering how you organize your panes or your windows, what we just spoke about here. Then we're going to dive into how to work with that CSV file, the addresses, in ArcGIS Online. I know that in the website announcement for this workshop that it noted that ArcGIS Online is a prerequisite to it. One of the reasons that we chose to add that to this session's story map workshop is because ArcGIS Online, we just did the workshop last week, and that is going to be a hub to a lot of your spatial data and what is presented on your story map. But we won't have time to go through all of that again. So we're just going to really briefly touch on it for a reminder for some of you and maybe a little bit of something new for others of you. But I'm just going to go over that fairly quick. And we have our ArcGIS Online workshop content and the presentation for last week on our IGIS YouTube channel. So if you look on for UCANR-IGIS on YouTube, you should be able to find it there. Give you a little bit more foundation. We'll then, after we create a feature layer and publish a map, then we're going to shift over into the story map builder. I might mention, and I know that Maggie gave a good introduction to this and a little bit of the differences or the nuances in the terminology, but it gets really easy to get confused or to crisscross words when it comes to your story maps, your web mapping applications, your story map app, your story map builder app. It gets complex. Just to re-summarize that, we'll create a story map. That is just going to be a basic map. Then when we publish it and we add these other templated features and widgets like call outs and images and so forth that are associated with the map, that becomes a web app. A story map is a form of web app that is more rich in the way that it displays the data and how it transitions from one set of information or map area to another. So when we talk about story map, that is a form of web app that is a bit unique. When it comes to the story map builder and the story map app, that's synonymous. Those are the same things. In some places in the ArcGIS Online applications, it'll refer to it as an app. Some places it'll refer to it as story map builder. I don't know. They haven't nailed that down apparently. Which way they want to call it.
Hey, Sean, we have
Yes.
a request. We have a request if you go over the 4 tabs that they should have up again.
Oh, yes. I will do that. So again, the 4 tabs. One, you'll want to have, I'll bring up the, oops, that doesn't have the exercise. The exercise that you downloaded should be on the left side of your screen. At least that is my preference. From your downloads, that would be your story map exercise, which I have in a Google Doc right here, but that should be on your left side of your screen. if you could bring up another window, another browser window for your ArcGIS Online that you hopefully were able to set up beforehand. If and that's actually something I should mention right now. If you haven't got a ArcGIS Online account set up yet, or if you have your own organization's account, you might want to switch and use one of our IGIS accounts, in which case throw it in the chat and Shane Fire or Robert Johnson can help set you up quickly. Also, make sure you download that data and get it on your computer. It'll only take a few minutes, but get it set up. Once you have that downloaded though, having your exercise on the left, your ArcGIS Online, and then later your story map builder in the center, and then your visualization and organization document on the right. And then when it comes to the Zoom screen, you might have to move that around or have that share a portion of the center of your screen. It is up to you too. If you want to just follow along and watch that, you're more than welcome to do that. But I'm going to do my best to slow down at correct spots where it'll allow you time to be able to keep up with the exercise. You can also choose to just go through the exercise and take the steps on your own and then just listen to me in the background. Each person has their own preference. But I'll try to somewhat redundantly show you the same steps over and over again so you get the hang of the workflow. But hopefully that helps. And again, if you need any help, don't hesitate to throw it in the chat. We have a great team right here, and we're all here to help you out. All right, moving on. Let me check the participants or the chat. Actually, in the chat, can you note if you are not set up, or if you? So I say like, give a thumbs up if you are set up, but just if you'd like to throw in the chat that you're still working on getting set up, or just put something short, not set up yet, then that way I can know if we should continue with some hands-on stuff. I'm trying to find my chat. Go. There it is. So is there anyone that's not set up? Right. Well, we'll come back to it if you're not. Okay. Good. So if you could right now, I'll just do this. Go search for ArcGIS on. Oh, second, someone I got a request. So transcripts are enabled. Good. If you could right now, in the center pane of your window, go to ArcGIS Online and log in. I'll do it again too, even though it's already up for me. ArcGIS Online login. This is what you should see, something to this effect. It'll come up. Sign in. This is what you should see. And your password that you should have got set up in the last few days if you didn't already have an account. I know many of you were here last week for the last workshop, so you're already good to go. Okay. When it first comes up, typically it'll come up to my organization tab here. I'm not going to go through all of the bells and whistles of ArcGIS Online right now. Again, like I said, we covered that last week. There's a couple things that I would like to go to though. One would be the content. And you'll see in my content, I have story map, I have story map themes. So all of the elements or parts of maps are all included in this thing that looks a lot like a library or a directory of all of my data. You might want to organize your folders on the side. I have an IGIS training folder that I build the workshop content in here. So I also have a junk folder with stuff that I might want to get rid of. But this is where all of your content's going to be. The reason I bring this up when it comes to story maps is it's sometimes important that, say, if I wanted to share this part of the story map with someone, I might need to go in that and then go to the share option on the side. If you didn't follow that too much, what I did is in my content, this is just info only right now. I went to my content, I selected a layer that's within a story map, and we'll build that layer in a moment, and I share it. I have to make sure that that content is shared with everyone, or my story map won't work later in some cases.
Hey, Sean, I have a quick question for you. If participants didn't get an account through ANR, they have it, let's say, through another UC or another organization, are there parts of the workshop that really depend on ANR content, or are they fine with whatever account they have?
That's a great question. They should be fine. And the reason why I've always recently shifted to recommending that you use our ANR accounts is because some online accounts don't come with all of the constellation of ArcGIS applications associated with it.
Okay.
So and so that's the and to find that out for those of you that might be an issue, that's a great, actually almost segue right into the next thing I was going to cover. Was if you go up to the right hand side of your screen and you click on this little cluster of dots and you see a whole bunch of apps like this, you're probably fine. Specifically, if you have a story maps button here, that will redirect you to the story map builder app. If I click that, I'm not going to do that right now because it'll be out of turn for the workflow right now. But yeah, this is our story map builder here.
Thank you, Sean. So if anyone gets to that point and they don't see story maps there, let us know in the chat window and we can get you access to an account for the workshop that does.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I might mention too that, again, I touched on that ArcGIS Online is sort of the hub for your data management and creation. Maggie also mentioned this, where this is ArcGIS Online is where you'll go to bring in a whole, you name it, type all kinds of different data, either from ArcGIS Online itself or from Living Atlas or tons of other sources. But then there's all these other apps, including Story Map Builder. We have Map Viewer as a way of developing web maps in a different way. We have Field Maps, which is a data collection app that we have a workshop for in a couple weeks, and so forth. There's all these other different apps that you can explore on at a later time. All right, moving on. Any more questions there? Good.
Nope,
So
we're good, Sean.
So this is then we're going to go to map. Click on the map tab and you'll see the horizontal ribbon across the top disappear. Those options are in a drop down now. Don't worry about that. And from here, we're going to make this easy. We're going to build just a super easy map to start off with that we're going to be using for our workshop. From there, I have it's kind of scrunch up. If I move it over, then I'll see a content option pop up on my screen here. The second option over underneath details, I click on content. And now, this is what everyone do this, go to your map tab. And then once you're inside of your map, go down and open up your folder with your workshop content that has the workshop media, the visualization and organization document, and finally that rec center Excel sheet or CSV file that we just looked at. Once you're there, grab that, just drag it over and drop it on your contents. And what you'll see is this little pop-up window. And usually ArcGIS Online, it's smart enough to figure out what fields are related to what parts of the address. In this case, we're not using the name right now, but it recognizes the address as the address or place. the city is the city, the state is the state, and the zip code is the zip code. And the address too in there is not necessary because it already has all that other information. And then what I'll do is I'll click add layer. So in case anyone didn't follow that, I went to this here, dropped it into my content, and then it should have given you that prompt, and then you accept the defaults. When it comes up, it'll initially give you some symbology options. We can leave it at the default, but I'm going to touch in there real quick. I'm going to go into the options of the unique symbols. And you can see that there's all the research centers are listed on here. The 9 that I mentioned earlier. And if I go up to change all symbols, I can shift the size of that symbol a little bit just so it's slightly more evident on my map if I want to. Not going to make it very big because really this is going to be a reference that we'll come back to later in the exercise. So it's not critical that it's symbolized just the way you want it. And then once you have that set up, click OK, and then done. So everybody, I'm just giving everyone a second to do that. So you drug the rec locations in, accepted it, and then now you have a map with just some simple points on it. Next step is we need to save this. And for this, I'm going to refer to the exercise. We've already gone through this area, the content. Now we're in the content creation section. We went through this information. And just so it doesn't add any confusion, we'll just make sure that we keep our naming conventions the same, so when it refers to it later in the exercise, it doesn't create any confusion. And so we're going to name this your UCANR Story Map Workshop. This is what we're going to title the map. So if you go to page 9, specifically 3.13, and you'll see UCANR Story Map Workshop. That's what we're going to name this map. So you can highlight that, Control C. You'll get really used to Control C and Control V during this exercise. We'll go back to the story map. Go to Save, Save As, and then Control V to drop that in there. The thing is I've done this workshop a couple times, so I have to add a number at the end of it because I already have saved a workshop or saved a map with the same name already. Next, you're going to need to add some tags. Tags are important to be able to discover your own data, but also for others to be able to discover it later. So I'm going to add in their training and then click return. If you do, or enter, if it doesn't give you a prompt, just click enter and it'll create a new tag for you. And then I will say junk, because sometimes I need to clean these out because I create a whole bunch of the same map over and over again for demonstration purposes. So now I can search for my junk in my contents and then delete those ones and not have to go to too much trouble. You can put in a summary, but we're not going to worry about that. And then your default for where you're going to save it's probably fine. And click Save Map. And I'm going to remember that Story Map 4 is the one that I'm going to be working with today. Good. Was everyone able to do that? Because I think it's time for a break. Let's see, throw in the chat if you need any help. Everyone, I just see one thumbs up. Good. All right. So if you're having any trouble, make sure you come into the chat. We can set up a breakout room and help you get all ready for the next section. That's going to be progressively more hands-on as we go. But for now, let's take a break until 2:05. I think that one of the comments that we've had in past evaluations is we need to have a little bit more breaks. And I understand doing this for 3 hours straight on your fine Friday afternoon can could be can wear you out a little bit. So we want to make sure we have enough breaks, but still have enough time to get everything done. If for this 10 minutes, what I would like to do is to, Maggie mentioned that we come back and visit some of the story maps during the break, or I'd show it. You can just relax, you can view. I'm going to bring up a couple story map examples. We'll have a somewhat soft start, so we don't jump in too quick, too fast at 5 after the hour. And then we will, like I said, progressively get into more and more hands-on stuff that's going to be important. Good. Shane just threw in the story map tour. And this is what it looks like. So in Story Map Tour, what we have here is across the bottom, these are locations that I pulled out from your registration, your registrations. The number of people were in the same cities. For example, there was a number of people from Berkeley, number of people from other locations around the state. UC Riverside was well represented this time around, I noticed. But each one of these, what this is a image that I can click on, and it'll jump to that position. You can see it kind of highlight on the screen as I go. If I click on Davis, it gives you an image, some text. This would be Rancho Cordova. Actually, I've lived in quite a few of these, well, number of these places. I've lived in, let's see, 3, 4, and 5. So Davis, Rancho Cordova, and in Placerville. Went to high school in Placerville. Sonora, we have. And you can see that what I did here was I just copied and pasted text from Wikipedia in for a brief description of the sites, just to have something that was, I don't know, nice to tell something about the place. That's one of the things about this is what's called a story map tour, is you typically want to have information about a given place or something that's neat and kind of iconically representative of the location sometimes, and then say a little something about that. Or if you have a specific theme that you're going with, you'll talk about those kind of like thematic points. San Mateo. In each one of these images, by the way, they need to be a JPEG format, and it's sometimes story maps are a little finicky at the type of data that they'll accept, and there tend to be slightly glitchy. I think Maggie kind of mentioned that at one point, that there are kind of finicky elements to story maps, but once they work, they tend to work pretty well. We have Hayward, Santa Cruz, Merced, Los Angeles, and I mentioned Riverside, and you can see it's highlighted on the map. Here's an interesting thing. If I zoom into this and I decide to switch to another location, it'll keep that same zoom level, which is sometimes a neat effect. Now let me show you how I got to that point there. So I'm going to go back to the story map that we should have saved already. And what I could do is go share. And if I wanted to do the traditional way of creating a story map, what I could do is go in and share it with, say, everybody, and create a web map, a web app. And then here you have a bunch of different options, one of which is a story map. And this is the one we used right here, the story map tour at the bottom. This is the traditional way of doing a story map and how I created the map you were just looking at. But you can see there's 6 other traditional ways of doing story maps as well. One of my favorites is the Cascade. Sorry. And if you want to see what any of these other story maps look at, you can go into preview. And this one's particularly neat by bringing it up. So I scroll down, and it'll give you an example of what that type of story map application looks like. The uprooted, and this is from for immigration around the world. And what I find I don't know what the right word is for it, very compelling about this is the way that it's displayed. It truly drives home the message of what this spatial data means. You can see that you can have different panes that pop up, and we're going to be developing something not necessarily like this, but something that will resemble it in the style of the web, the story map as we go on. So this is a cascade.
Hey, Sean, can I say something
Yes.
about those apps real quick?
Mm-hmm.
The old apps that Sean just highlighted are wonderful, and they're really quick. They're really nice you can make really quick story maps. I just want to highlight that Esri is phasing those out. So the builders are available now, but going into the future, they're going to phase those out, and those builders will not exist. So use them if you want to now, and the story maps you make with them will continue to work, but those app builders are slowly going away. I just wanted to add that.
I should have mentioned that too. Yeah. So these are being sunsetted as the same functions and the same kind of templated ways that you could scroll through them, and the call outs and the rolling like sidecars and that sort of thing. As all those features are being enveloped into the story map builder, these, yes, it will be sunsetted. Anyways, I just thought I'd throw that in there as kind of a teaser of some of the things you can do in story maps. The old way of doing it will come when we get going here in, say, 5 minutes. After
Hey, Sean, this is Chris.
Yes, sir.
So that's how New York Times and Washington Post and the Chronicle are actually putting some of those articles online, and giving you that kind of scroll through flow with pictures and data and words.
Yeah, I assume so, but and I do see this very frequently used because it's easy. You don't need to have coding ability. And it is a substitute in some ways for a programmer that's going to fully develop a website. But sometimes those larger organizations will have their own web programmers that will create web pages that are similar to this, but sometimes they'll just use the story maps for their journalism.
And I'll also point out that one other organization, National Geographic, uses a lot of story maps, but also Sean mentioned developers. A lot of these apps you can actually download the source code and actually edit them and make it your own if you so choose.
That's right. That's right. And they've made that easier too in recent days. While I'm here, I could show you too that there is also a web app builder that's available that's somewhat similar to a story map builder that gives you the option to create customized infographics on a page. And what you sometimes will do is you can build a web app and put it within another web app, and that other web app might be a story map. So you could put widgets and so forth in here, and then have that be one of the scrolled through maps or spatial data kind of references within your story map later on. So you could put in all kinds of these other layouts and widgets, including attributes and zoom sliders and a whole collection of others that you can have options of. And the value of that is once you create something like that here, you published it, you could keep that URL, and I'll show you later on how you could drop that within a story map. So I'm going to back up out of this, which is never that easy. There we go. Good. All right. Let's see, hopefully everyone's back now. Good. Well, let's get started again. Take another break. and say maybe a half hour or so, have that first kind of longer session, and then I think more breaks sometimes are nicer, like a 5-minute break every half hour or so. So that will be the next stopping point, is once we get past exercise 3, which shouldn't take too long. But the main thing is we need to leave enough time for exercise 4, because, or exercise section 4, because that is actually quite time consuming. All right. Do we, Shane, is there anybody that needs any help, or?
Looks like Alex is having an issue.
Okay.
But maybe Alex, if you're up for it, I could move you and Robert Johnson into a quick breakout room and see if we could solve that issue you're having.
Oh, yeah. That looks familiar, that issue. That's why we added the extra column of the address that happened once before. So hopefully if you,
Alex, if you want to go to, okay, I'll put you in a breakout room with Robert.
okay. And when he jumps back in, there'll be no problem if he misses what we initially covered.
Okay.
We can get you caught back up fairly quick. All right, good. Are you able to do breakout room setup, Shane?
Yep.
All right.
It's already set up.
All right, good. All right, carrying on. Okay, starting a story map. So what the next step is we're gonna switch applications. We've saved this. We're all set. In the break, I kind of showed you how you can share that information, which is important too. Now, I shared it with everyone for now. None of this is like proprietary or sensitive information that's going to be put out there, so there's no worries of that. That is something though to be considerate of, is if you're working with certain types of data, you might not want to share it publicly, particularly if it's editable data in some cases when it comes to research, but also when it comes to sensitive issues. And one case I could think of was someone was doing some domestic violence research at UC Davis that they had to go to extreme measures to make sure their data was very secure. So now that we've saved this, what I'm going to do is go up to the home button where it has the drop down, click it, and go to content. And once I'm in content, you can see the story map, in my case 4, because I've done this a number of times. The web mapping application, oh, that's not what we'll need. That was where I was playing in the app builder afterwards. We'll go to the one that says web map, just to refer to it, and click on it. Go to share and verify that it's shared with everybody. In my case, it is. Then I'm going to back up. I'm just showing you that because sometimes you'll need to go to your content to do that when you're working with the various data sets. Instead, we're going to go, after we're back and we're in the content, the upper level of the content again, we're going to go to create app at the top left-hand corner. Click that button. And then you'll see story maps as the third option down, and click on that. So create app and then story maps. All right, and now we're in the story map builder app. The same thing would have happened if you'd have clicked on the little dots at the top right hand corner of your ArcGIS Online. If I was here and I would have clicked here and click this is what we would have ended up with, this story map builder app. Before we start going on this too much, I want to show you how to set up your design initially. And in your exercise, I'm going to be toggling back and forth between these two things quite a few times here. And so you might be wanting to do the same yourself, because there's going to be copying and pasting that's going to be going on here. But we're going to go up to design at the top, and you'll see this pane pull out on the right side of your screen. And here, what we're going to do is select the third option over of full is going to be the design that we're going to want to use today. And then we're going to scroll down, and I'm going to go to referring to the directions here because it's really easy to miss some of these options. We can turn on navigation. Want to have navigation as an option. What that does is it adds a navigation tab down below. So if I turn on and off, it'll allow you to use bookmarks to jump you to certain portions of the story map at a later time. There, continuing down through the directions. So I'm going to toggle back and forth between these, not only for my own sake, but also so you can see where in the directions we're at. In the theme section, you can see it's possible to create themes, but also to use already set themes that are set up for you. We'll come back to that in a moment. First, I'm going to go down to logos and upload a logo at the very bottom. And in this case, it brought me to the last place I pulled data from or imagery from. But in this case, it should be your workshop folder that you downloaded inside of your workshop media. And at the bottom, you can see the UCANR logo. And I'm going to click on that and then click open. So down in the logos, you can set the logo inside of that customized section. This is down in the directions at step 4.9. Other than that, I'm going to now below that, if you go to your directions, you'll see that there's a URL text. So we have the logo link that would be the UCANR website. So down below, a little ways below 4.9 in the next box down, you'll see that UCANR.edu, and I'm going to Control C. And if you don't do this, if you miss this, don't worry about it. And I'm going to put that logo, Control V, in the logo link. That way, if someone clicks on this in the web, the story map later on, it'll redirect them to UCANR as a shortcut reference. What you can do, and I'm not going to worry about it right now, but you can put in alternate text. The value of this in some cases is if you're on a cell phone that you have that the vertical to portrait scaled map. A lot of your map features won't show up correctly, so having a text in there instead that can wrap is useful, but it's also good for text readers, for example, for visually impaired folks that are using a text reader, and then it could say, this is a logo. You could put in the alternate text. This is a logo of the UCANR, or University of California Agriculture and Natural Resources. We don't need to worry about that right now. So that's what the alternate text is useful for. Good. Next, we're going to go into continue to build a theme. So what we'll do is we're going to go up to our themes above on your right hand. So we're back in the story map builder, not referring to the text over on the left. We're going to go to manage my themes and click here. Manage my themes. You'll see a number of themes that come up. You can see I've been playing with this. I have a number of UCANR communications is what we're going to actually be creating here in a moment by clicking new theme at the top right corner of the screen. So you should have clicked manage my themes, and now we're going to click new theme. Hopefully I'm going a good pace for everybody. I know it's so hard with all these screens that are all like spread out. So I manage, it's actually, this is only if the window is scrunched down. Usually it's down below where it says manage my theme. And then new theme is what we just did. What we're going to do is we're going to go in, I'm in the directions again. So I'm on 5.4 where it says UCANR communications. I'm going to Control C. That, so 5.4 on the directions, go to my web map builder, go up to untitled theme. I'm going to paste this in here. This time I'm going to give it another number because I've done a couple or 2 or 3 or 4 of them so far already. You don't need to do that. Then I'm going to continue downward and then change some more themes. This, by the way, creating a standardized theme, not only is it nice if you have an organization like we do where we have our approved colors are representative of, say, UCANR or UC Berkeley or any of the other campuses, but it also is nice that once you've designed a theme, you can easily go back to it later on and reuse it again without having to go through all these steps over and over again. So we're going to continue to develop this theme here. And I saw that the breakout room closed. If Shane or Robert, if you would mind showing them, showing the person that you went out to the other room in how to bring up the story map builder and begin to create a theme, that would be great.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed that.
That's all right. No, I knew you were out there for a minute. All right, so continuing on. So we started a new theme. Now we're going to go into colors. So
pardon me, Sean, the person who wanted to go to that theme, could you please put your, let me know who it is in the chat and I'll add you to that group, to that room.
Okay, great. And you know what, realistically, they can continue to work without too much theme, but just to get into the theme builder for now. That's another reason why we're going to have a break in about 10, 15 minutes or so, just so we can have let people catch up and so forth. All right, continuing on. So now we're going to customize the colors. So we did the drop down next to colors. So the little arrow will bring down the color options. And we're going to leave the header and footer the same, but then for the accent color, we're going to grab this hex code down below in the directions. So you see this under 5.7, I'm going to Control C, where's the bolded hashtag number. And this is going to be the accent color. And how I do this is I click on this drop down arrow in my builder. I have to scroll down a little bit and add that in, Control V, and it gives it a specific blue color. And then I'll click off of it somewhere in the pane to be able to set that. Next, I'll go down to my optional accent colors. Color 1, I'll highlight that. Control C. And this is 1, Control V. Click off of it somewhere so it sets it. And then optional color 2. Control C. Optional accent color 2. Control V. Enter. And click off. Right, so hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Switching between the panes. So under 5.7, it's going to show that gives you the hex codes for the accent color and then the optional accent colors. Next, we're going to go down to the typography. In this case, we're going to leave it at the default. I think is yes. The default is Evener. Next, for the text type, but we have a new hex code for titles. We're going to Control C this title color under 5.8. Control C. Go back to the builder, and then underneath the text color for headings, do the drop down and Control V and enter, or click off of the frame. For the paragraph text in the caption next tab text, we're going to turn these both to black for now. So paragraph text. So we see here, I got the little drop down arrow. I'm going to click black. Should be an option. And then caption text, I'm going to make that black as well. And then click off. Hopefully this is going at a good pace for you all. Next, we're going to add some buttons. So for this button, we're going to go to the second option for the templated button form. Go to option number 2. Next is going to be quotes. So we're going to go down to quotes here and do the drop down. I think the first option is fine, but we're going to change the hex code for this. So I'm going to highlight the hex code, Control C. Go back to the quotes. So custom colors, I'm going to click the radial box for that. And then the drop down. And I'll paste that hex code in. Control V. Click off. So now you can see it looks a little like something like this. All right, we're almost done with this section right here. Finally, we're going to get to the separators. So the separator is the next one down. We're going to skip links for now. Move my zoom box out of the way. Separator. I'm going to pick the 3 diamonds next to each other this time around. And I'm going to copy the hex code from the directions. Control C. I use a custom color under separator, custom color box. Click the drop down. Control V. Good. And so that we've created enough of a template. If you missed any of those steps or you got caught up on it, don't worry about it. It's the workflow that we're looking for. It doesn't have to be perfection whatsoever right now. Nothing's going to be held up if your template isn't just the way you want it, but it's going to look nice. You'll see as we go on how it'll lay out. So once this is all done now, again, it's like a congratulations in the text, but yeah, truly congratulations. You've gone through sometimes what would be a steep learning curve or a tedious process to figure out all these things. Now we have a publishable theme. And the last step is to go up to the top where it says publish on the right hand side, click the button, give it a few seconds, and our theme is published. Once it's published, we don't have to do anything else. We can X out of it on the tab on the top. Don't close the wrong tab, or you can just go back a tab on your header, and you should be back into your story map builder. All right, let's do one last thing that we need to do because I see that it didn't update the theme in here. This is kind of a common glitch within the story map builder. Is we're going to go to this little arrow here, go to stories, and go back. And we'll go to the most recent one, would probably be your untitled story. Click on that. And it will bring you back into your story that you just created, but now it's ready with the design options. And wait a minute, I'm going to browse themes. And I'm going to click the most recent theme. And there it says an option in my theme panel. So the way I did that is I clicked design, browse themes. I click the most recent theme, and now we're back ready to start the next step exercise section 4 of the workshop, which is going to be the longest, most time-consuming section. So we probably need to take a breather before we do that. So let's come back in about 5 or 6 minutes. We'll jump into section 4. If anyone needs to catch up, throw it in the chat. If you need any help, let us know. We're here to help, and we'll continue onward.
I believe they might be back, Sean.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, let's
Yeah,
get
we're all
going
good.
again. Awesome. All right. Well, now, like I said, we're getting into the meat and potatoes of the workshop now. And this is going to include a lot of redundancy. I mean, you might say practice makes perfect, but doing the same steps over and over again in different ways will get you used to the steps that are actually generally similar between building story maps in any number of the different templates that are available. There's once you've done one, the next one's easier. The other that I'm referring to, the next template's easier because you're familiar with the way the information, the text, the pictures, the maps all go into your story maps. And so there's enough similarities that it becomes intuitive over time. But initially, it will not probably be intuitive. In some cases it is, but in other cases it is not necessarily. So now we're going to we'll still have the exercise directions on the left side. I think I would say memorized, but I remember enough of the directions that I might not need to refer to that as much now as I'll be needing to refer to the organization, visualization and organization table to start with. You can refer to this if we kind of get kind of stuck on something, there'll be directions in here on, or if you miss something that I say, but most of what you'll need will be on the visualization and organization document, specifically in the table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift my story map builder over just a little bit, make sure that I can get at my organization tab or table more easily. But first, I'd like you to open up this story map here on the right side. I've already done so. It should be, no, which one is it? There it is. Okay, so this is what we're going to be building toward. Just for a reference, you can come back and look at this. So if you're not sure if what you did looks right, you can always go back and look at the story map. It's for the most part complete with a couple little experiments done at the end, but this is what the story map will look. Here, let me get so I can scroll through. This is what it'll more or less look like when you get to the end. Again, if you have any questions, then you can refer back to that. So where was that? Back in my story map builder. You can open this up now if you'd like to kind of just take a peek at it. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Just look over it. Sometimes it's nice to know where you're heading. We're actually doing very well on time now today. So we have just a little it should take about an hour or so to do this next section. The break will be coming in right at the right time. So if you look at that story map, again, you can experiment with clicking on some things on your map as well. Like the theme map at the end is a lot like what the tour map looked like. In fact, it is called a tour map in the story map builder that we showed before here for where everyone came from. You can actually make them look a lot alike. All right. So ready? Let's start building the story map. So bring up your story map builder again. You should have something that looks like this on the screen right now. Check your design. Make sure that you've checked the template that you just created, the UCANR template, the design. Then we can reduce the design by clicking it again. And we'll go over to the table. And you'll see, hopefully you'll see that it's fairly intuitive to know what goes where. Specifically, we'll start off with the title, and it says title. So we're going to go copy, Control C. There's going to be a lot of copying and pasting right now. UCANR.
Hey, Sean, can I interrupt just for a quick second?
Yes.
We've had several people try to click on that link that you have there, and they're not able to access it.
Really? Huh. Let me double check that I could come up with another map that's.
Sean, can you place that in the chat window, and I'll see if it's a sharing issue.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, it is a sharing issue. Here's another one. It's not, this is a practice one that I have. Control C. I'll put this in the chat. This one will work.
Everyone, the issues we're having is with the sharing options in ArcGIS. Depending how you have it set up, it's behind security, and that's probably what you're running into right now.
Yep. Now that I thought that was completely open. All right. So, and I'll copy the second one, Shane. Not working.
The link you just
There you
put
go.
in appears to be working, Sean.
The first one's working. That one is almost complete. I just left off a couple of the redundant steps at the very end when it just to test everything to make sure it was working before we got into the session today. But that will also, it will be almost identical to the first one that I posted for reference. That is good. All right. So I'll give everyone a second to look at that since that first link wasn't working. And it is nice to see where you're going if you scroll down through that session. The only thing that you'll see is at the end that only 2 of the recs are mapped on the final map instead of all 9 of them, because the other 7 steps were going to be exactly the same as the 2 first steps. I was going to just making sure that it was working. All right, everyone. So let's go back to the story map builder now. Oh, hold on one moment. Just a second. There we go. Story map builder. Sorry, my kid's alarm was going off next to me and it wasn't going to stop. Right. In the story map builder, so we're going to, again, saying that we're going to be doing a lot of copying and pasting right now. And we're going to start off with the title. And everything in this table should be in the order that it'll be going into your story map. And so that should make it a little bit more intuitive. We're going to start off with the title. And this story map is going to be about UCANR's Kearney Agricultural Research and Extension Center, where Robert Johnson has an office. That's here helping us out today. And I'm going to Control C that, go into my title, Control V. And then you should have white letters here. Go back to the table, to the document, go to the subtitle, Control C. And that should be the next section down. These ones are nice and intuitive because there's no other extra options. It'll have my name. Don't worry about the draft part. That will actually disappear later on. You can change your name or any kind of delete it entirely. The draft will disappear when you publish it and give it a date by default. So leave that as it is. However, we do want to add in the title image. You can see in the title directions. So to do so, we'll go down to add cover image or video and click on this. And you'll see a drag and drop option. You could browse too, but what I've done already, and many of you probably already set this up too, is if you click on your file explorer, and go into your workshop media folder. Inside of here, you'll see a number of images, and one of them, they should be in alphabetical order. You might want to make them large icons like I'm looking at right here. But you'll see title image. Just grab and drag that over and drop it in. Give you all a second to do that. You'll see that the directions, they kind of guide you along fairly well. So adding the title image, probably the hardest part is finding this folder if it's not already ready for you. And then you drag that in there, drop it in, and click add. And then we have a nice background to open our map with. If I move some of my zoom bars, there should be an arrow down in the left corner, and that's to indicate to people that are going to be using the story map that you can scroll down to see more. It also helps sometimes for us if we're not sure what we're doing next. Next, we're going to start telling our story. First, I think there's a little bit of information. Actually, let's get that. It's going to be over in the document here. So the heading below, we can add heading to your story for your navigation links right here, but we don't need to do that right now. We're going to skip that, but we are going to put in a heading below. And this is going to be the background UCANR's rec system. In Control C for copy. And we're going to click the plus button to tell our story. That plus will turn into an X, and then you'll see a number of options. We're going to be using text right now, but just so you know, there's a whole bunch of options for things that you can insert in this position on the story map. And I'm going to click text. And I have too many zoom windows bars in my way. I'm going to move them around a little bit. Oh no. Now I'm going to Control V to put in that heading. But the problem is it doesn't show up as a heading. It just shows up as normal text. So what I need to do is highlight over the top of it, and then you'll have a drop down. You won't always have to highlight over the top of it, just sometimes. And click the drop down under paragraph. You might have to scroll down with your roller button and click heading. This is important because now it's going to reflect the theme, style, and colors that you selected earlier on and saved. So now we have this heading here. Next, we're going to do a subheading. So the same process. Like I said, there's going to be a lot of redundancy here. Control C. Click another plus. Text. This time you see it has it gives you the option box. Drop down and select subheading and Control V. So again, so that like you said, it's going to go one after another down the column. So we go from heading to subheading, and now let's put in some text after this. And this will include all of this here. It's from start, and then you see stop at the end. The reason we put the start and the stop is just so it indicates that you want to include this Research and Extension Center's part of the text. Control C. Plus here. Text. This time we can just leave it as the default of paragraph and Control V. And there we have a chunk of text that just went in. Are there any questions on this? Good. Next, we're going to add a hyperlink. The step for adding a hyperlink is we're going to go over still in the text box in the document under hyperlink for the Research and Extension Centers, this portion of the text. Control C, copy that. Go back in. Highlight over the top of it, and then you'll see this pop-up come up again, but this time there's a little like chain link, hyperlink option, and we'll click on that. And here we can Control V to add in the website to the recs. Something that's important is you don't want to click outside of this box right now. You'll need to press enter or it won't stick. You have to press enter after you enter a hyperlink always, at least in the builder. Good. Now we'll go down a little bit in the document. And now we want to put in a quote. So essentially what we're going through is the different steps for adding different types of story map elements. In this case, we're going with a quote. And we're going to highlight all of the text here. Oh, wait, is there a typo on that? Oh no, it's just no comma, that's not necessary. I'm going to highlight that chunk of text for the quote, Control C. So I'm taking it from the document first and then coming over here because I don't want to start my box until I have the stuff saved or copied at least. I'm going to add with a plus, click the plus, add text, and then down on the paragraph section, you can click that drop down and you'll see at the very bottom it says quote. And click quote. So we're adding a quote this time under text. Control V. There we got a nice quote frame. I don't know if any of you have ever read California Agriculture, but this will look very similar to those publications. This is exactly the kind of both the color pattern and the way quotes are often pulled out. It's kind of nice to have a uniformity to this type of presentation that goes with our organization at least. And of course, this is going to vary between wherever you're at, whatever themes you're going to want to include. All right, moving on. So we're going to add some more information center. All right. I'm going to go to the directions real quick. So I want to make sure that I'm not leaving out any kind of map elements here. Scrolling down, we added in the background, research and extension centers. Oh, no, now we're getting to the non-bulleted points. Good, I can also refer to the other story map that was available. So the one that where's that? Did I close it? Huh, weird. Okay. Anyways, regardless. So next we're going to add in this text section here. I'm going to copy and paste this text first, the top part, not the bullet point part. And I'm going to Control C. Go, oh, I have too many things open. I need to get back to my window that I'm developing here. And below this, I'll click a plus. Text. Standard text is probably fine. Paragraph. Control V.
Hey, Sean, Chris is having issues getting the paragraph style or the HTTP style to pop up.
The HTTP style. So the paragraph. So like what I just did here. So if I click this is what we're referring to, that to add the HTTP. I'm not sure if I know what he's referring to. You mean this here?
Yes, that.
Okay. You're having trouble with that? Okay, that sometimes happens. That's a glitch. If that doesn't happen, what you do is you highlight over the top of it and it should appear. Try that and let me know if that works.
Thanks, Sean.
That work?
No, it's not working. So I get each line as a paragraph itself.
Each line is a paragraph. Well, we're going to take a break here in about 5 or 10 minutes, and and then we can jump into a breakout room, and we can help you out on that.
One quick question, Chris, did you include the bullets in there as well? Or is it just the paragraph above the bullets when you copied?
That's a good point. Did he catch you on that one?
Continue, Sean.
Okay. Good. So this is what it's going to look like as we're going onward. All right, good. And I'll help Chris out in a moment. Very good. I know this stuff is in little, just part of it is the learning curve. Part of it is you kind of never know if it's going to have a little glitch. So we'll problem shoot that here shortly. One thing that is a known glitch is bullets. Bullets are a hassle. And so I have a little trick for adding bullets in there. What we're going to do under the text, we're going to go to these bullet points, highlight them here, Control C. Going to go back over to the story map builder and add a text block in there. We're not going to select bullets yet. What we'll do is we'll Control V and paste it in first. But then I'm going to delete what the heck? Are they all separate? Oh man. That's probably somewhat of the problem he is having as well.
That's kind of what I thought as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that is not the best way to do it.
One potential way to do it, Sean, is it's going to sound weird, but if you open up like Notepad, and paste it in there, it'll strip out it should strip out the extraneous symbols and just give you the text.
Another way too I found is that, wait a minute, I have an idea. Control C, go in here, paste as plain text. That's better. Oh, but they're all still separate. That is a hassle. All right. This is, like I said, bullets are always an interesting problem because we can try to go in and add text with bullets, but it doesn't always work. Bulleted list, Control V, and it sort of worked. All of the bullets except for one. Actually, the last one worked. You can switch it to a paragraph, and it changed it again, and then I could try to switch it back again. That is just odd. Well, this is a good point to take a quick break. I will get that solved. That's problem is with this one is that it doesn't always work the way you hope it does, and just the way it is, and you don't have an undo feature. So let's take a 5-minute break. I'll get this solved. Chris, I can help you out with that, maybe just in this room.
And Sean, I'll have a look and see what's the cleanest way to bring bullets in.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, because this was an issue. It worked earlier for me, and now it doesn't, but I have another idea.
Yeah, I'm standing by.
Okay. And I'll jump out if. So interesting. All right, Chris.
Here.
let me,
Yeah, each line is a line.
okay, so you're having the same problem I'm having, huh?
I don't know. You were doing it pretty well in the beginning, but as
Yeah,
soon as I
that's-
went to, the text underneath start, and I tried it just, and I can't even, I have to highlight each line to delete. I can't go down any further.
This is an interesting issue because it sounds somewhat similar to mine. What you see what's happening to me right here, where I paste the text in there, and it's giving me several.
That's what's happening to me.
Yeah, this didn't happen to me earlier today. As I did it twice, more than twice.
Well, it didn't even happen to you the first time you were doing it on this thing.
No, I know. So here, let me see. Shane's working on it too. I have another. I have an idea.
And it's even pretty difficult just to get rid of the mistakes even.
No, I know what you mean.
Anyway, it's kind of interesting. Now I'm on a Mac. Is that shouldn't be a difference?
No, it shouldn't matter. Okay,
It
I
shouldn't
haven't.
matter.
All right. Well, one way that you can do it is you can copy and paste each line separately. Each line of the text separately, and then save the bullets. It's not wanting to do them all in a row.
Let's see.
At least when it comes to bullets.
I got it to work once and then it stopped working. So,
See, that's
Yeah, you're right. It's going in. Okay, if I do it head to tail, line at a time.
Yeah, that worked for me now. The strange thing is like I said, I did it twice earlier and it worked just fine. That's first try.
That's tedious.
I remember last year there was a problem with this as well. Or earlier this year. We had the same thing. So that's a known glitch I mentioned before, but at least
this did something a little bit different. Now how do I go with the HTTP?
The HTTP. So that part I'm not sure about. The adding.
Yeah, going to the hyperlink.
Oh, the hyperlink. So I don't think that we're there yet.
No, you had one in the first.
Oh, for a hyperlink.
Line.
I get it. Yes. Okay. The way you do that is you highlight it, and you should see the hyperlink pop up. See, like
get the text deal there, because that paragraph thing doesn't come up unless I make it come up.
Okay. So
okay, got that.
So
okay.
If you highlight over the top of it and make the paragraph pop up, then you can add the hyperlink.
Okay. I did. And so I hit that thing and I type, where does it go? I mean,
okay.
Show me how to do it again.
All right, here, just a second. So if I go in here, I highlight that. Oops, I had to highlight the whole thing.
Oh, highlight the words.
Yep, and then click the hyperlink.
Okay.
And then it'll have this box that pops up down below it.
Yep.
That's
paste
where
it in
you'll
there.
paste it in there.
Okay, and then just hit enter.
Yes, then you have to hit enter. And I just erased my link, but who cares?
Hey,
it's okay.
Well, okay. It shows it's using it now. You italicize that.
Well, it underlines it automatically if you put in. I have to.
No, I meant italicized it. You.
I could have, but I did. I don't know that I did. I might have.
Okay. All right. Well, that worked.
Right.
That was the trick I wouldn't know. Now it's just each line.
Okay.
And the quote is going in there. How do you do the quote?
The quote, you just add text, and then you'll have the option, the drop down, hopefully, and then quote's the last one on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Got it?
You know what that did?
What's that?
Turned it into 2 lines, and then the third line's a heading.
What the heck?
Hey, Sean,
Maybe, yes, sir.
I did figure out how to do the bullets.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Great. We actually have some more bullets coming up. If you wouldn't mind to take over when we get to the next bullet section.
Sure.
That would be cool. These intermittent not working problems are driving me crazy. Like you said before, Shane, working with GIS sometimes is an exercise in insanity. You can do it the same way 5 times, and the 6th time it just doesn't work.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. So you good, Chris?
No, I'm not good, but
No.
I'll get by.
Okay. We get, you know what, and this is a good moment to pitch our office hours as well. Every Monday and Tuesday, we have office hours that you can sign up through the ArcGIS website for. And this goes to both UCANR, UC affiliates, and anyone else. Anyone can sign up for our office hours. And so if you're not sure about something, we can problem shoot these things that are, I don't know, sometimes unique, sometimes not that unique, and get them figured out so it's not an issue later on.
Okay, sounds good.
Good.
Or
right.
I can try it later and see if it works.
You know, we might have a little, in one of the goals, we're in good time right now. So at the end of the workshop, we might have a little time to come back to this and jump out into breakout rooms to finish up.
Okay.
If you need help for these little things, but if we can we'll keep cruising along for now, though.
What page are you on now?
I'm not sure, because I've been using the organizational doc on the other side.
Okay.
Document. So we should be, let me skim down through here, cut and paste, headings. Let me see where, quote, we did the quote. Okay, here, we are on page 20, 7.0.
Hey, Sean, could I show you that real quick?
Yes.
So you can show people. So copy the bullets from your document there.
Okay.
And then open a notepad.
Oh, okay.
And then it's a weird thing in story maps, but open a notepad. And then paste that text in there. And then, what? Okay. I didn't expect that because mine doesn't come up with the bullets in there.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then copy that. And then what you're going to do is go to story map. And then in story maps, right there, just, do that. And then delete that out, or just add a new one, whatever you want to do. And then before you do that, go to the very top one, county based, and hit it, go to the C, and just at the very beginning, and hit very beginning, go to just right there and hit enter. Oh, go back again. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, check that out. I just pushed delete and then it randomly updated it.
If you do that same thing and you tell it to do bullets and then hit enter, it formats them all as bulleted.
Okay.
It's a weird thing.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
And it's intermittently weird. Okay.
And I'm not saying it makes sense, but it worked.
Okay, great. So anyways, this is something that's not really super unusual in GIS in general, is that there'll be maybe updates and things like that cause, I don't know, cascading trickle down effects that get things mixed up, but that's all right. Once it
Yes.
works, it works.
So I just tried that, Sean, and each bullet line is a paragraph.
Oh, geez. Well,
Maybe I have a switch thrown somewhere.
well, we'll come
Hey,
back to it. We'll go ahead, Shane.
If and who is this right now? Is this
Chris.
Chris? Do you want to do a quick breakout?
Yeah, I can't do anything that he's going through right now.
Okay, let's go to a quick breakout, and then I'll join you there.
That's a good plan.
Okay,
Great.
super.
All right.
You gonna shift me there?
You should get an email right now asking you
Okay,
to go
gotcha.
in, and I'll go there.
And just so you know, Chris, the next steps too, they're going to be, oh, he might be gone. Anyways, the next steps, he can jump in wherever he needs to and it'll be fine. All right, for everyone else, hopefully everyone else isn't having any problems like that. I'm checking the chat right now to make sure. All right, hopefully you all were able to get the bullet points worked out by either individually pasting them in there like I figured out, or Shane, the way that Shane suggested, putting them into a notepad and then entering them in and then clicking enter after the first one. But regardless, we have hopefully bullet points that are following that text, and we're going to add a picture. And that picture will be the veggies kind of image is going to break up almost like a separator. The way we do that, we're going to go down, click on image. So we're going to do the plus sign, go to media, under there, go to image. And here, we're going to switch over to our file manager that was hidden behind my zoom. That's another thing. You get so many things hidden behind other things. And we're going to go down to the veggies on the very bottom, assuming yours looks like mine. And I'm going to drag and drop that in and click add. So once it's in, it's kind of narrow right now. And if we want to really fill across the whole screen, we might want to push the medium for the directions. So next, we're going to add some more text. So we added the veggies. Oh, alternate text. Let's put this in now. So under alternate text, I mentioned before, if there's like a text reader for the visually impaired, or if for your smartphone, you might want to have something like this. The alternate text would be products cultivated at the UCANR Research and Extension Center. Control C. Find my center pane here. And the way I do that is I go into options and then alternate text. So I'll do that again. So there's the little, if I hover over the fruit that I just put in there, the veggies, I'm going to go up to options, click on this, click and add by Control V, the products cultivated at UCANR's Research Extension Centers, and click save. And then that will be the alternate text, especially since we have it medium. And again, if you're on say a smartphone, it's not going to look so well. And then under caption, we don't need to add anything. Just leaving it blank is fine. And it'll show up blank when the final product. All right, let's put in another header. This time I'm going to copy and paste about the Kearney Research and Extension Center. Control C. Go down onto my builder, get my zoom window out of the way so I can see my plus. Control V. I'm going to highlight that. So about Kearney Rec. Switch to header. And you'll see across the top, this appeared on the top navigation. I mentioned before that these were like kind of like tab bookmarks that could jump you to the different portions of the story map. So now if I click on the first part, it'll bring me to the top. I click on the second, it'll bring me down to the About Kearney Reg. Subheading, I'm going to put location, Control C. Go back onto the story map builder. You got a plus, text, subheading, Control V, and then we got location. Put in some text, so we're going to throw in this text block here from the text in the document. Let's refer to this as the document usually. Control C. Go down below location and Control V. And we just can leave it in the paragraph text form, that's fine. But now we want to add a map. So this is going to be the map that we created earlier. And I think that we want to do this as a sidecar, maybe, if I remember right. All right, let's see. We're going to go story map. We're going to add map. All right. And then we're going to go to the story map that we did before. This will not be the sidecar. That'll come on later. Good. So go here, click map. And the map that we created earlier should be the first one in your options. Click here. And then we're going to have the options to adjust the positioning and place the map. Before we do that, we can go up to the top, click on the options, and you can allow map navigation is key. Sometimes you might want to turn on the keep legend open, or the legend itself, or have keep legend open so it always looks like that. Don't keep legend open. We don't even really need the legend, because the way that story map's going to be built later on, there's going to be tabs that are over the tops of these dots, so it won't be as important. So, but just to know, this is where you configure your map options. You can zoom in, try to get it so it's squared right on California. Want it dead center if you can. And then go back to the layers. Everything looks good. We'll go up to, or down rather, to the bottom right hand part of your map and click place map. So then we have a map on for the reference. Back to the text. So there's a lot of, you can put more. Oh, this is something that's a good thing to note here, is that if you want to change this map, you need to go back to your content in ArcGIS Online. Oops, not notebook. To your content in here and change the map here to have those changes reflected in your story map. This is pretty important. Back to this section. So we have, but you know what? This is not what we might need here. So we added, I'm going to go to the reference map. Again, doing each one of these steps by memory is sometimes kind of tricky. No, oh, here we go. Down. Oh, so this was going to be a side map. I thought that.
Hey, Sean, can I do a quick report back? Mm-hmm. The issue may have to do with it being on a Mac, and the Mac was inserting a carriage return after each line when it came to the paragraph itself above the bulleted points. And then the fix that I had for the bullet point did work for Chris.
Okay, so, good.
So it may be a Mac issue.
Okay.
Okay. He's good
Excellent.
now, as far as I know.
Awesome. So what we're going to do is I'm going to change the map now. So we're going to go into the story map here. I'm going to click the top here where I'm going to select float left. And then it'll just create a small map on there. The thing is we're talking about Kearney here. We're not talking about all of California. And so what I'm going to do is go up to the pencil again, click on the pencil. So if you saw that I did the float on the top of the map, it might be across your whole screen. Go to the pencil, click on the pencil. And I happen to know that Kearney is this orange dot down in the San Joaquin Valley. And I'm going to just southeast of Fresno. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit like that and then click place map again. And then it'll actually reflect the location of Kearney red, because again, that's what we're talking about here. And now we're going to continue our story with the text that we'll find on this side here. So if we go up, we have location, we have the map now, and then to the right of the map, let me be at the document again. So everybody get that? You did float left and then zoom in, and then it should be here, but we'll be able to add text to the right. So I'm going to go over to the text and copy and paste this section, this chunk of text where it says Kearney Research and Extension Center is located in Parlier. Control C. Oops, that's this part. Disregard. Instead, I'm going to go down a little bit more. I'm going to do a subheading, Research at CARE. Control C. Continue your story. Text. Control V. I can make that a subheading. Paragraph, subheading. And then the text below the research at Kearney is I'm going to take all of this text block, Control C, and add it below. There we go. So now we have a map with a research description or information that's going to be there. Now we're going to do the sidecar. And hopefully the bullet points are not as difficult here. Sidecar is something, you can see that a lot of this is already scrolling through somewhat like the cascading map that it showed earlier about immigration that I mentioned that was really compelling. Sidecar is somewhat like that. So there's elements of those traditional map templates that are being included here. Now I'm going to press return a couple times to drop this down below the map, because otherwise it'll look kind of funny, I found from experience. You can change the name of this or delete it entirely if you want, or add a caption for your map. We don't need to worry about that right now. But we are going to have, oh, come on. I do have to enter down below to get below the map for the next section of the slide car. Oh man, keeps on happening. There you go. Slide car plus. And what that is down at the very, very bottom of the list under immersive. And we're going to click the second option down is sidecar. And we're going to do a docked panel this time. We've done floating panels, so we'll try a dock panel. I think that's what the directions call for. Sidecar dock panel, correct. And then click done. And what this is going to do is going to allow you to add media that's going to connect to a story over to the left side. And that, in this time, we're going to, the embedded media is going to start off with an iframe. So we have iframe text in the slide media for the first one. I'm going to copy and paste that iframe, an iframe being essentially just a link to a web page. This could be another story map. I mentioned earlier that you could put web apps within web apps, and this is one of the ways that can happen here. but this is just a around me drone operation flight at the Kearney Research and Extension Center. I'm going to go back to the map, click on Add Media. This time I'm going to click Add Embedded. And up at the top, there's going to be an option for the link where I'll just paste in that iframe information and click Add. Good. So now if I clicked on that, you would have a 3D representation of the Kearney Research and Extension Center that you could manually toggle around. It's pretty slick, huh? Good. Other than that, I'm going to start adding some more text into the side. So on this slide text side, Control C. I'm going to go over to behind the Zoom window again. Where am I going to put my Zoom at? There we go. Put it down there. Right under the text, I'm going to add text. Control V. Care from above. And this time I'm going to copy and paste, and hopefully machine suggestion works. Let's Control C. I'm going to go in here, add text. I'm going to go bullet points, bullet list. Control V. Nope. That's interesting. I'm going to go back, enter. Nope, that didn't work either. Now it did. Okay, weird. So see what I did is I just entered and then clicked away, and then it created the bullet points, but I have to then remove the old bullet points. So now we have the standardized ones that are in here.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so difficult to do bullets, but it is definitely difficult.
Yeah, it's a weird hassle. All right, and now we have this nice, again, from a photosphere taken with the drone over the Kearney Rec, where you can look at it from any number of directions interactively. Next, we're going to add more to this show here by clicking on the plus sign to create a new slide at the bottom. This is to show how you can put a video inside of this. This is going to be from the Russell Ranch experimental farm in Davis. It's not a rec, but I unfortunately don't have the Desert Rec video handy because it's on a computer I don't have remote access to right now, but this video is a representation of what you could also have in here. So this, how we'll add this is similar to the way that we added the media before, but instead of doing add embedded, we're going to add image or video, and it's going to be one of those drag and drops like we did before. And for that, what I'll do is go down to my folder, go to the Russell Ranch Sustainable Agricultural Facility, click that, drag it on and drop it. Might take a second, click add. And this is how you see the animations within the story maps that are so neat over time. It's still going to take a minute for this to load up. You'll see the bar kind of creeping across as we go. Good thing is though, you don't have to wait for that to load all the way while you're building the rest of your map. So I'm going to go back to the table, click the Pistachio Orchard Modeling text, Control C, go back to my builder.
Hey, Sean, we have one person who's
Yes.
getting saying that the embed is temporarily been moved or temporarily down for the round me video.
Okay. Huh. I wonder what's going on since, yeah, it just loaded up there.
Maybe it's
So-
just the number of people hitting it. I don't know.
Maybe. So I wouldn't worry about it. This is the workflow we're worried about right here. It's not really that it works. Hopefully then if you refresh it later on, it'll pop up
Makes sense.
if it's loaded in there. But yeah, so yeah. And in fact, none of these steps in here are, I mean, they're critical that you have them in. It's to show you the process to see how it works. And again, yes, it might just be because too many people are hitting it at once. And it isn't and mine is actively using it right now. Now I'm going to go back into add text next to the Kearney or the Pistachio Orchard modeling project. Control C, where we've flown many drone flights. Oops. Where is the text at for this? Looking for my plus sign. Where'd it go? That one's gone. Click.
Which plus sign, Sean?
What's that? I'm trying to get to add text to this here.
Yeah.
I had it and now it's gone. Here, there's some options I can go in.
On the sidebar or on the video?
For next to the video.
What if you click on those the bullet points on the left? No.
No, they're not showing up. I had it a minute ago. Now it's gone. Oh man. So all kinds of things. So what I can do is replace video, cancel out of that, and hopefully get the option. I can try down here, change. Interesting that I don't have any options for text. There we go. Here's one. But not until I get to the next one. Okay. Anyways, that text is not important. And honestly, we're ready for a quick 5-minute break anyways. And then we'll be able to finish up the last map. That text is what I would do to solve that is I would delete that and then re-enter it later on, but we don't even really honestly need it in there right now. We don't even have yeah, that's not part of the rec system anyhow. It was just to show a way that you could load a video in. Good. Let's take a 5-minute break. We'll come back. We'll finish up the last map and publish it. And then we will have wrapped it up in good fashion. Back at 3:35. We'll get started in just another minute. Let everyone have a breather and catch up. I did see what the issue was. You do have putting in the text first and then the video is a good idea. And just being patient, probably not trying to add stuff while the video is uploading, probably froze it up. Now we're going to add the last story map element. I guess let's get going. This will only take about 10 minutes, 15 at the most. And depending on how much we need, we want to push through some redundant steps that we don't necessarily have to do. There's 9 research and extension centers, and we don't have to have an image and text for every single one included in there right now, because you'll get the idea after the first step or two. So what we're going to do first, though, we're going to add in a brief, not a video, actually an image with a little bit of text first, just to kind of break it up. So I'm going to click the plus sign now down below. So what we'll do is we'll go below the images, the first, the round me, the circular one. And then the video, if yours went in, below all of that, below the sidecars, then we're going to put a plus and click text. Actually, we're going to do an image first. An image, excuse me, not text, plus, then image. Click image. Browse your files. It'll bring me there, or you can just drag and drop. This time we're going to add in the greenhouse and click open. And click add. This time we can decide on what side we want to have it on. We can have it enlarged if we want to have it larger. We can put it on the right, or float left. Depends on what the preference is here. We're going to, for now, let's see, why won't it let me put it full sized is kind of odd. The way that it went in before was full sized. But for now, it doesn't work. Don't worry about it. We'll just put it on the right side, and we will try to add, click some options. You can put in alternative text if you wanted to. Add in text to the right or the left of it. Clicking here. We'll go over to the greenhouse operations, Control C from the document. Control V, and then only one bullet point this time. One thing I might mention is kind of, I wish it was a function within the story map builder, is that you could add in indentations, but you just can't, at least not in this part of the builder. So now we'll put in text again. If you're not adding this in right now, don't worry about it, but I'm going to put in a bullet. Control V. And so we can have greenhouse research at Kearney, just to kind of break this up a little bit. I'm going to enter in a little bit to get down below, because now we're going to add in some more text to learn about Kearney. Click below. So you see on the document where it says text. I'll copy and paste that. Control C. You know, just add the text here is fine. Use the button below. And we're going to add in a button now. Clicking the plus sign. And button's the second option. That button drops down a little bit lower. These formatting positions could be adjusted later. We'll go back to the document. Go over the top of the text where it says visit Kearney's website, Control C. Click down on the text, your button, Control V to add that to visit Kearney's website. And then we're going to copy and paste the URL. Control C. Yeah, might have to click on it once to click edit. And then put the website, Control V, and remember to press enter. Good, so that's how you put in a button. This is particularly useful if you're gonna have like donate here or that sort of button. Go to our tech support. These buttons are typically used for things like that. That's why I wanna make sure that I included that here in the directions. Now we can put in a separator, which is a nice design feature. Below this, as close to as we can, and separator should be the third one down. Remember from the directions here, we have this the 3 dots. The design section that we did this, the themes that we set up. Now we're going to put in another heading here that's going to be extra resources. Control C. Text. Control V. Probably have to highlight over the top of it, maybe scroll a little bit. and put in a heading, subheading, other rec locations, Control C, Control V, and then we'll do subheading with once we highlight it, paragraph, subheading, give it the style that we want, add in the text. So hopefully you're all getting used to the like copying and pasting if you're following along like this. I know with a 2 split screen, it's not, it gets kind of tricky. I know this. Control C, text, Control V. That's just the standard paragraph, so that's fine. And now we're going to add in a map tour. So how we do this, this is the last element of our exercise. We're going to do the plus sign, go down to the bottom and click map tour. Give everybody a chance to do that. The plus sign, add all the way at the bottom, map tour. Then we're going to go up, click start from scratch. And we're going to go with guided tour is fine. I think that's what we're going to want to use here. Let's see. I jumped through a number of these. Guided tour should be fine. Or Explorer. Actually, let's switch to Explorer. I'm going to go with Explorer. And click Next. And we're going to do a list instead of a grid. Done. If you notice the grid is kind of similar to one of the old art. If you're familiar with story maps from the traditional way of doing it, there's a grid function in the other the original story map templates within ArcGIS Online as well. But now we need to add in a map. And that way you do that is you go to the map options on the top right hand corner. Select base map. Right now it shows human geography, but if I click on this, it's going to give me some other options, including browse for more maps. So we click, after we add a map, Explorer, and we're going to click browse for more maps. And the map that you created earlier with the recs is going to be there right at the top. So click on that. And it's going to zoom you into that map. You won't have the ability to zoom in and out right now. It's just going to be set in place. You could change the pointer color of where the map elements are going to go in the map, but we're not going to worry about that right now. But we're going to go down and click Done. Good. So we'll only have to do a couple of these before you get the hang of it. And the first one is we're going to do an untitled tour point. We'll click on this and we'll add an image or video. So click the first one. We'll go over to the directions here and you'll see slide image desert rec. Let's use that one first. So we'll open up the workshop media. Desert rec's the first one there. I have to slide it around so I can drag it on there properly. So you'll add in the desert image from your workshop media and click Add. It'll take a second for it to load in. Next, we're going to want to add a location. So we'll click Add Location here. Have the option on the map, and what I'll do is I'll zoom in to the Desert Research and Extension Center. I happen to know where it's at, so it makes it easier down in the southern part of the state where you can almost see the Mexican border from there. You can use the tour map setting for the zoom level or use the current zoom level that's set. I like the second one personally. And I'm going to add location. For description, we have the description information in the the document. So we can put in the title, Desert Rec, Control C, Control V, and then visit, Control C, visit the Desert Rec for the description. We don't have to have too much in there, but what we can do is add a hyperlink from the document, Control C for the hyperlink, highlight this, and then go to the hyperlink option and Control V. Good. Oops, I didn't click return. Remember I said earlier that's really important that you have to click return. I accidentally clicked outside of it. So now I have to highlight it again. And then click enter. And then when I click away, then it'll be underlined. So someone can click this as a hyperlink. The way that you would do it for the rest of the research and extension centers is you just add one more, one after another plus. I X'd out. I have to go down to the bottom. It's hidden by my zoom. And add one on the bottom. And then I'd add in the next one in a row, which would be the South Coast Rec, and then continue those same steps. But once you've done that once or twice, you kind of got the idea. We don't need to go through all 9 of them. And then the only last thing was just to add credits at the very end, created by your name and so forth at the bottom. But that you already have the idea of how to do all that text. So we will skip that now just to make sure that we have enough time for questions at the end. And one last thing that I want to show you is how to publish it and how you can use this. So once you've set up your entire story map, you're comfortable with what it is, it automatically saves it. So you'll see the saved option at the top left, and it still shows it as a draft because it hasn't been published yet. To publish it, you just go up to the publish drop down. You can have it private, my organization, or public everybody. I'm going to click public everybody just for now. And then publish the story.
I just want to add one thing. See on the screen right now, the process it's going through. Do not, don't go away from this screen or go to another page and come back or anything. It'll actually corrupt it. So make sure it actually says it completed successfully before you leave the page.
That's very good. And once it's done, then you should see a pop-up that will look something like this. And again, there's some of the steps. Oh, this could have been zoomed in because I didn't have it set. You could go back into the settings and zoom in further. But if I click on DREC, it didn't zoom me to ZREC. Well, I'd have to go in and adjust that. But now that you have this story map, oh, they're starting. Oh, there it jumped into it. Weird. That was a weird glitch. Anyhow, now that it's jumped down to DREC, well, we're set more or less. But
one nice thing about the save versus publish, Sean, I just want to mention is, even though it saves, the public doesn't see that. Like you could be editing and making changes, and as long as you're just saving and not publishing, the general public won't see it until you say publish.
Right. Well, even the save option, it automatically saves each time now. I notice it doesn't have a save button anymore. Did you not see that? See, it automatically saves now. It's it used to have a save option here. And it automatically does it now. But anyhow, now that it's published, I can go to the story map. Here, let's see, I'm going to publish. Oh, dang it. Where's it popping up at? Sharing level, everything is included there. And then I said it's already published. I want to return to the published story one more time. Once it gets here, I'll show you what you can do with this URL at the very end. It's published. You can take that, URL because I shared it to everybody. Put it into another browser if you wanted to. Control V. It should pop up without having any login credentials necessary. If you wanted to, if you had a site builder and you wanted to put it into an iframe, you could put it into an iframe and then publish it in anything from WordPress to site builder to you name it, and then update this asset. And I wanted this view current site. Oh shoot. UCANR's web services are not quite fixed all the way, I guess. Interesting. Okay. Well, in theory, we'd be able to look at that right away but UCNR is having some website issues still apparently, but you get the idea. That's how you would add it into like Site Builder or WordPress.
Or any even if you're doing custom development on your own with an HTML document, there's an iframe that you can add. So it's just the iframe tag will allow you to insert this into any other web page or document.
All right. Is there any questions? Got bogged down with trying to figure out bullet points there, but other than that, we were fairly glitch free today.
Mm-hmm. And Sean, I did put the evaluation into the chat window for people.
Excellent. Thank you. That's about the next thing I was going to get to, other than questions, and there's not too many of us in here, so you can unmute yourself if you want to you have something that you would like to say, but what we would like to say is please fill out the evaluation. It's really important to us. We try to improve these workshops each time, make the content a little bit better and also the presentations a little bit better. And we're here for you. We really love doing this kind of stuff. And it's really fulfilling when we see people come back again and again, and then one day they're sometimes experts in this type of stuff. It really is great.
Eve, did you get your question answered? Your hand's still up. Oh, I see you applauding now. Great.
Yeah, I actually have a question.
Okay.
So, and it's about like affiliations and those kinds of things. So for example, if I use an ArcGIS account tied to UC Berkeley, but eventually leave UC Berkeley, will the like published links still work after I'm not affiliated with that institution anymore?
Ooh.
Or is the account tied to the institution?
Yeah, that is a great question. Do we know the answer to that?
I actually don't know the question to that. I don't know if they have a migration tool or anything built out from Esri.
Let's look into that because that's relevant for all of us.
Let's really
look into it and send out an email to everybody after.
Okay.
I wonder if a workaround would be to change owners of it if you were to go somewhere else. I know that's not ideal, but if you do someone, there's going to continue to be perpetually there.
It's going to come up, so let's figure it out.
It's definitely going to come up, and it's an issue that Esri has said they've been planning to address. So what I can check in and see what's happened.
Eunice, question.
Yes.
Hello, thank you again. Just wanted to say this is very, very helpful. But I have a quick question. If you could go over quickly the map tour, like how to add the map in. I kind of was dazing off and I like completely didn't catch that.
I thought that's easily going to happen at the end of 3 hours non-stop workshop.
Honestly.
Absolutely. I'll jump right back to that and I'll show you right now the workflow for that. And all right, I got to get back to my builder. All right, there we go. Let me get down to the map tour. I'm going to go to the button. So I'm going to delete the tour entirely because it's kind of messed up anyways with the zoom level. I don't know why that happened. But now I can add it in again. So I'm going to go to the plus sign you see. Click that, and then down to under immersive, there's map tour. Go up from scratch. We're going to Explorer. Click next. We'll use list and then done. So this is probably the part that you missed right here. This is easy to miss. Just one is to go up to the right-hand corner and click map options. Okay. And so you can turn on the configure map configuration, current location, small screens or not. But most importantly, what we'll go to is the select base map. Go down to browse more maps. And then select the map here. It'll show up and I can't zoom in and out, which makes it strange why it was like global when it popped up in the viewer before. And so initial zoom level will be automatic. And I'll click done. Now I have the state with these in here. I can go over, click on untitled tour point. First, you'll add an image by clicking here. I'll go to the media folder, drop our Desert Research Center image in there, include, not delete, add. Next, I'll add a location. And that is this far south dot. Click on there. I'm going to leave this, maybe that'll save it this time. And then add location. And then I can just add in the text from my document, wherever that is, and the hyperlink, and we're all set. Same way that we did before. So title. There. And then visit the Desert Rec website, Control C. And lastly, we can put in the hyperlink, Control C. So I highlight over the top of it, add the hyperlink, Control V, press enter. You have to hit enter or it doesn't work. And then we're set. And then you see at the top, it says unpublished changes, and then, but it's saved. And then I would just go back to publish it again, and then we go. Or I could go down to the bottom and click plus to add more bookmarks. So you can see the bookmark now that's on the map here that shows where Desert Rec is at. That cover it?
Yes, thank you so much.
Awesome. Anyone else have any last questions here?
It's 4, so we should let
Yes.
people go. I know if we keep chatting, they're going to want to stick around and hear, but I think it's fair to let everybody
I agree.
have a break.
Yes, yes. But thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. Make sure you fill out the evaluation if you wouldn't mind. And hope to see you again soon.